Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 86. We have Porsche and Duin both ready to level up. Let's get right into that. Control up to 85 now for Porsche. Really trying to find a way to cut back on the mistakes, hoping that the control attribute is the key to that. Also gives us an 84 for Duin. They have been making less mistakes the last couple of races, so we'll see if that is anything to do with it. But next up for us is Japan, and it's just 4 days away. And at the moment, we only have 5 million, so we're definitely not going to be doing anything on the expensive side right now. Now, if you haven't seen the last episode or two, you've really missed out on a pretty epic set of races with back-to-back 1-2 finishes, taking both of the top steps on the podium, and with the turn of the month now at 10 million, and the board's very happy. And by the way, with those 2 victories, we find ourselves at the James Irwin retiring contract in 3 months. Yes, let's go ahead and renew that. Same salary as before with a lump sum of 100,000. Not quite enough to entice him, so we'll have to go back and see at least some pay increase for him. Neutral on the money now, so we've got to be getting close, and that does it. So for 1.1, $150,000 increase from what he was making, that's not bad at all. And we extend him by 4 years, locking in both of our race engineers for the long term. Now here, right at the end of the season, you can see just how close the field is to one another, because after just a few upgrades for other teams, we find ourselves plummeting down the field. Our top speed is down to 15th. Our acceleration is down to 18th when it was right at around 9th or 10th just a month ago, just a few weeks ago even. Cornering and dirty air cornering was all right at the top, first and or third in the 3 categories, and suddenly we're 11th in low speed. Other teams really coming in late with some big upgrades here. The cooling, it's roughly the same as it was in the DRS, was first. Everything's fallen off quite a bit in a pretty short period of time, and we've already started focusing on next year's car. So let's hope we are still competitive enough to put up some points. Otherwise, we might see our new first place on the grid cease to be there real soon, especially when you consider just how close it is at the top between us and Ferrari, and then the Red Bull just behind him. Suzuka a year ago was a fairly good race for us. We got on the podium with Albon, but Porsche only managed P10 and was well off the pace of the front finishers. Even Albon was 9 seconds down, just coming in ahead of a trio of cars, which I think, if I remember correctly, we made our way through some of that pack right at the end of the race. Porsche, meanwhile, had also just come through his pack. I do believe, with Sainz and Vettel just behind him, I do believe Porsche had a problem in that race and was trying to recover from that, recovered enough to get 1 point.
Konnichiwa from the Suzuka circuit in Japan. This unique track is a favourite home for motorsports, and it welcomes us back this weekend. Get ready for exhilaration and speed with the Japanese Grand Prix. Drivers will battle it out this weekend on the snaking turns of Suzuka, the only figure-of-8 track in Formula One. High-speed downforce will be the name of the game here, if teams want to secure a place on that podium. This is it. We're down to the last few races of the season, and it's time for that final push. Who will be crowned champion at the end of it all? We'll find out soon enough. The competition is on.
As we head out for a banker lap, Sainz is in range that he's going to be a bit of a threat to our lap, but I think we just about got away with not losing time to Sainz there. Porsche comes in a little bit ahead of Duin, and so far it's a pretty good time. For the first 9 drivers, it's at the top. And having been through all 20 drivers coming in first and third, we're going to go ahead and stay parked for the second run and trust that we have gotten out of Q1 already. Lap times look good though. Looks like it's us and Ferrari, and Verstappen and Sainz way down the field at 11th and 14th. Ocon runs wide, so let's compromise some of the laps here. There comes the Red Bull. Red Bull had the lap times in them. 2nd and 8th. Sainz is going to have a penalty. And Albon, Norris, Latifi. The random low 60% car setup after skipping practice. We got 91% for doing after picking Porsche. It didn't work out quite as well, only 74% for him. With rain at the start of the session, it's very wet out there. We're going to go get a banker lap. It was supposed to stop raining at the very beginning of the session. For now, it hasn't. It has not stopped raining as of yet. And we are off the pace here, actually. Quite a bit off the pace. And it's full wet conditions. So this is the opposite of what we were expecting. It was supposed to be drying out and get to dry conditions by the end of the session. For now, that's not the case, as we're down to 6 minutes and it's still full wet conditions, which means I think back into this field is not going to get a better lap in, or at least not a significantly better lap in. Nope, here we go. It's just now dropping below, but everybody's going to be on full wets. It's too late. It's too late to go out again. So from P7, P9, we should be safe. Dewey just dropped to P10. Somebody somehow managed to improve the time as it's drying out and Dewey's out. Dewey's out. Man, how did he manage to mess that one up? How are they managing to put in better times in full wets? I don't know how they're putting in quicker times in full wets, but they are doing just that. And Dewey falls to 12th place. Man, that was disappointing. Full wet conditions should have meant slower times, not faster times. I didn't think anyone would improve their time the second time out, and the exact opposite happened. It did start to dry out there at the end, but on the wets, that shouldn't have been. There was guys that had been many seconds behind, so I expected a few guys at the very back to put in better times because they were on the wrong tires. Being on the right tire would have meant faster, but it wouldn't have meant faster than those on the intermediates. In the intermediate conditions, which is what we were. It was mid-3s, yes, but we were on the right compound. They were all on the wrong compound. I'm shocked that they were able to go faster. I'm in the don't believe what you're told phase, as
weather update level 0.
We were told it was supposed to stop raining in Q2, and then it poured. And then track was soaking wet as everybody went out to do their run, and suddenly it dried up as they went and did their run, and it somehow saw us have a man out. For now, it looks like it has stopped raining and the track is drying out. We could be getting in the best time because apparently it's got a decent chance of raining again in just a few minutes. This is going to matter, the timing. Track is getting wetter again. It's hovering at about 2 millimeters as we are on track for our lap. It's damp, but it's not bad. 1.9 halfway through the lap. Purple so far. We're not the only ones out there. Purple in the second sector, but we're the first ones for now. But we're still purple in Sector 1, and there's a good 5-6 cars out there that have gone. It's holding at 1.9. We finished the lap. Now we're green in Sector 1. Somebody finally put in a better time. So we're not going to be top of the time chart, but it's a pretty good first lap. And the track is wetter than it was, and it's starting to rain. It's starting to pick up. This is going to begin to slow times down a little bit. Ocon and Russell just behind us. Leclerc all the way down in 4th. The wetter the track is, the harder it's going to be. And so far, with everyone but Ricciardo out there, the times have really started to back off. And there you go. We are first provisional pole after the first lap. Yeah, let's put on the fresh intermediates. Track's not going to dry out enough to run in the dry. So it would seem. And everybody's heading out again. Track is drying out. Heading to garage. Why? Russell, Ricardo, and I did not make it across the line before the time ran out. I'm not going to get another lap in. And the track is drying out. I had cars behind me. I had a car in front of me not make it. It's not because I went so late. I went relative to the field, but it has not worked out. Not just for me, but for others. And we are falling well down the order behind everybody who didn't get to go. So we drop all the way to 8th. I was going when everybody else went. I went in the middle. There's 2 cars behind me, or 1 car just ahead of me, and then 1 car well behind me. Wow. Okay, well, hey. You win some, you lose some. That was a double loss. Things went wrong with doing in Q2, and things went wrong with Porsche in Q3. Very unexpectedly. We had provisional pole, and then it all fell apart. We were a second down. We would have been much faster on that last lap. It was all about timing, and the part that I didn't see coming about that timing was being right there in the mix of when cars headed out from pit road and to not make it across the line in time, and that is because of the conditions. So if we were in the dry, we would have been there 10-15 seconds sooner because our warm-up lap would have been faster. That's the only way I could see that the AI would have been making that mistake. We've seen me make that mistake before. It had been quite a while since I had made that mistake, as I've been going out sooner and sooner as we've had a better car, and we didn't have to wait till the last possible second just to possibly beat someone. But that's the first time I've seen the AI, multiple cars, not make it across the line in time to start their flying laps. And I was right there with them.
Tension continues to build here as race day begins.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself. We saw a solid qualifying performance from Ferrari, and they're sure to have their chance to push even further during the race. And the race will be taking place under blue skies. That means the teams should be able to apply their strategies without any added complications.
The Suzuka circuit is primed and ready to see Formula One's finest battle it out.
Suzuka is not the easiest track for an overtake. It's not the best track to be doing this on, but with 5 races to go in the season, one thing that's been going on is that we're really, really stretching with Porsche, the components. And he has been, this is the best of what he has left. He's down to 80%. Following that performance, starting in 7th isn't terrible, but man, oh man, that is lower than I would expect to be. And dropping to the back of the grid, if we're gonna do it, I was thinking we're gonna have to do it at some point, at some stage. We're gonna have to, because this just isn't gonna make it 5 races. And what he has left in the pool, 67% and 84%. I mean, that's it. Now, we're going to have to race with that maybe one more time. But if we take a new one, 4 races with one and 1 race with the other, we don't have to get in that anymore. And I like what that's going to do for the championship in terms of pace. We're not writing today off. I think we can still get up into the points, but I'm writing today off as a race that maybe was winnable, that suddenly feels like we're going to struggle to get better than maybe 4th place. If I do this, I feel confident that maybe we can still get up to 4th or 5th, because we're going to be faster than we would have been otherwise, and it's going to help us a lot in the coming races. So we're going to do it. All right, here is the bold strategy that I'm going for today. Doing 2-stopper, soft, medium, soft. I think most of the field is going to go for the 2-stopper. Vast majority. Porsche, we're going to try to mix it up. We're going to try to go for the 1-stopper, go long, conserve the tires as much as possible. And so that means I'm going to do my standard 1 lap under fueling. I'm going to go for 2 for Porsche. I'm going to make the car very light so we can go much faster. And then, after going faster, we're just going to sit patiently and go the pace that we need to go. So really backing off quite a bit, and that means we're going to have to lift and coast quite a bit. When we're behind traffic, we will lift and coast, but he's going to have a lot of extra pace in doing that, and we can't push for overtakes, but we're going medium to soft. We want to be fast later on in the race, and we want to get ahead of a lot of cars once they pit, and that's where we're going to make our first kind of push to go somewhere. We're going to be very patient early on. And that could be a problem because we're behind some slower cars. I don't know quite how well that's going to work out, but early on, we're going to sit patiently. First round of pit stops is lap 18. Yeah, I don't know how well that's going to work for Porsche, but we'll try. Change to the strategy. We're going to flip it, doing one stopper, stretching, one lap light on fuel, and we'll see if we can make that work out and how much faster he ultimately ends up going. He's going to have to be very cautious with his drive for sure. But Porsche, we're going to be aggressive. Two stopper, we've got to make passes out on track, which means we need the extra fuel to turn the engine up. So he is going to go at his normal weight and not under fuel at all, so that we can afford to be a little more aggressive with his moves and see if he can make his way up the grid.
It's sunny and bright as the drivers line up on the grid. Here's Williams. With their starting position in the back 10, they'll have their work cut out for them. And looking at the second Williams car, they'll be starting the race from the bottom half of the grid, so there's a fair bit of ground to make up. And we're just moments away now. Get ready. It's the Japanese Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
All my hopes now are riding on the fact that this is the last time all season that we should be starting this far down the grid. And we are already seeing progress as Porsche is up to P19 and Doohan is up to P11. So both drivers have gained right off the start. But Doohan, we cannot afford to push, so he made one overtake, and that's going to have to do it. He is settling in immediately to his position. And Porsche, he's the one we want to be aggressive with, so he's going to keep looking to make progress. But he's ahead of Latifi. Next up is Norris and McLaren, way down the order. This is the team that's fourth place in the Constructors, who we were battling with earlier in the season, and they have just really struggled of late. Field tightly compact right now. Porsche taking the long way around on that hairpin. He's going to stay up beside him and eventually pull ahead, and that's P18 for Porsche. That's already 2 positions gained, and he's all over the back of Albon to look for one more. But it's Verstappen on top with Leclerc and Perez right behind him. So both of those teams looking to gain a lot of points right now, but it is Doohan just behind Sainz, and if we're going to make any more overtakes, that's got to be who we go after, right? So having a look at Doohan, and Porsche's up to P17 as he's going around Albon here, and that's 3 gains. 3 positions gained on the first lap for him as we come into the final chicane and hopefully emerge out of that fully ahead and due of Albon, already all over the back of Schumacher. It's still tightly compact. Nobody's too far back here, and that's good. And as we prepare to come into Spoon, we're going to switch from right to left and still can't get him. And meanwhile, he's going backwards, so that's not a good sign. For now, down the long straight, 187R. We do get up beside him as we head into the hairpin, and we are going to get around, and that's P16. P16 now. Great start. 2 laps, 4 positions. Doohan, meanwhile, we'll need to close up on sides before we can worry about anything there. They're going to get each other here, and that's going to catch us out. And Zhou is out of DRS range. Sonoda, 2 seconds behind. So making this next overtake is going to be a difficult one because the DRS isn't going to exist for the front guy, and they're going to go side by side, and then we're going to get caught out. So we need to be aggressive to make this next overtake. Sector 1, yellow, competitor crash. Somebody has crashed. Can we get up the inside here? Latifi crashed, last place guy. The last play. Oof. Really? You used up your battery, not even doing anything? Okay, harvest, conserve. Standard for a minute. Is Latifi out? No, Latifi 6 seconds back.
Stonking now.
New fastest lap for Doohan. Doohan 3/10 behind Sainz. Is now in a position to maybe overtake. You kind of want to get an overtake done on Sainz. And sector 1, yellow flag. Somebody ran wide, presumably. And Doohan's up to P10.
That's good.
It's Sainz who ran wide, and Doohan got around him. Good. P10 for him, Porsche. Still P16, but has lost a little ground here. Setting to harvest and conserve was maybe a little bit asking too much there.
Reducing the lift and core.
Yeah, here's that problem. We can't follow through. Damn it. And these two just swapping positions is killing our race right now because they are so slow. They are losing a lot of ground. Sainz runs wide again. He's going to drop to P12. Oh, bad exit, though. Bad exit. Terrible exit. We've got the DRS. Harvest for half a lap. Doohan's still sitting in P10. Gasly is 1.3 behind, so there's a gap opening up behind him. That's good. And he's still in contact with the leaders. So Doohan might be 10th, but he's 10th of 10 in a tight, compact area, and that is ideal. Okay, back to neutral. And 14th position now. So Porsche has already made up. He's had 6 overtakes already, so that's big. That is big. But that gap is a problem. We've cut out half a second though. He must have made a mistake because we were back to within 3 seconds and now all of a sudden we're behind Tsunoda and he's 4.5 back. I don't know what happened with Porsche while we were riding with Doohan, but it looks like he made a mistake of some type. And we've had a crash. Safety car is out. Safety car is out. We are going to pit right now for Porsche. Do I want to pit with Doohan as well? And sits and sits and sits and still sitting and still sitting. And he's going to... He's almost the last car out. Porsche was sitting behind him the whole time. Wow. Oh my goodness. So Doohan enters from 10th place, comes out 15th. Porsche enters from 14th, comes out 17th. Porsche up to P16. Bottas into the pits. 2 laps after we go green. Perez has pulled away a bit. Vettel is up to P2 right now. Doohan up to P12. And here comes 3 more cars into the pits. So it was 4 guys who had not pit yet then, not just 2. And that's now P9, P11. At least there was that. But we missed out massively. We're up to P9 and 10 now as we've gotten around Stroll. So that's Doohan with Porsche right behind. So Porsche, just sit, because no point. Go ahead and harvest. And Doohan will try to make the overtake. We are now opting into the 2 stopper because it was too early It was too early for the one-stopper to work, so Doohan has got to try to make his way around Sainz, and then we'll focus on Pourchaire after that. How is our pace this far off? Both cars are slow. Both cars are slow. Pourchaire is now 1.3 back. And DRS is available, so Ocon's the leader. And we're getting overtaken because we didn't have DRS. Yeah, look how far off the pace. Pourchaire, he's already falling back from Stroll. Not sure what's going on here, why we are suddenly so slow. This medium compound is not going well for us. Or is it because these guys are, a lot of these guys are on softs? There's your thing. Okay, we are on the mediums. Everybody else is going soft, soft, medium. We are doing soft, medium, soft. We are going to be fast in the last stint, but this stint, we're slow. This stint, we're having a hard time keeping up. Gets the position back. Back to P7 and P9. We can see the action ahead of us. I like that. Ooh, hello. That the group that pit well behind. Latifi is off the pace. Damage. And Zhou heads into the pits. When you Zhou heads into the pits, and we move up another spot. P6 and P8 now. And finally, everybody has one stop. There was more cars that didn't stop than I realized. But we still lost a lot. We still lost a lot with that are on the mediums, and Doohan just spun.
Let's have a look. Now
At
we
least
see
he
the
didn't crash.
Williams here.
At least he didn't crash. On the
They
exit.
lose it there. That's the spin.
Now he should have gotten going again right away. Yeah, P12. At least there's that. But Doohan just compromised his race, and now we are P7 with Pourchaire. And Sainz is going to lose his DRS of those guys ahead. And that means those front five are going to pull away a bit. Unless he's quick enough. Get back up there. And as we've closed them up, let's go ahead and harvest. Now, overtaking is not what this stint is going to be about, because we're on the mediums, they're on the softs, they're faster. Until they drop below 60%. That's when we're going to want to have a look and try to make our way forward. So being patient for now. Get the battery nice and full. Keep our gap safe. %. They're going to start losing pace. It's already happening. Happens fast here. Happens fast here. Soon we want to make the overtake. Actually, while we have 64%. Not a good exit. Really? We went from like 0.3 to a full second down in exiting one corner. And we're over a second down here. I don't know if we got the DRS or not here. At least we're keeping up with these guys, I suppose. Because they're going to be much slower on their next stint. And we're going to be much faster. 0.4. That's good. Balanced. Okay, back with Doohan. Doohan, out here by himself. Let's harvest for a little bit. Just a little. He keeps hovering around 0%. We don't want to do this long, but 7 seconds behind a Perez, 3 seconds ahead. He's been holding his gap very, very steady since his little spin there. P12. It's amazing how Doohan started from P12. And Pourchaire. Leclerc into the pits. Pourchaire starts from last. He's up to 5th. And Doohan's was a moment ago right there in P12. So Ocon now alone, 4.5 seconds ahead of Ricciardo, with Verstappen, Russell, and Pourchaire right there, and Sainz. And there they go. There they go. Pourchaire up to P3. Still behind Russell, which is good. But we're going to be on our own here fairly soon, and then we'll want to go aggressive. When do we pit? When do we pit? It's lap 33. We've got 5 laps to go. We don't want to fall below 5%, so I really can't afford to push very well. And those guys are definitely going to be faster for the next little bit. Verstappen runs wide. Verstappen runs wide. He's down at P13. And yeah, that did not look good for him. So Ocon 5 seconds clear of Russell. That's into the lead. That's into the lead. Ocon pit that lap. So Sainz goes from P4 to P1 with only one guy peeling off into the pits. He makes a triple overtake really, because it was 1 in his pit stall and 2 on track. Yikes. As we were on the losing end of that one, besides pitting. And somebody's crashed. Somebody has crashed. Push on a little bit longer. 8/10, yeah. Definitely push on a little bit longer. He's not going to have DRS, we will, so that's going to allow us to close him up pretty easily. We just got to make sure we stay within a second. Meanwhile, Doohan, 7 seconds back, but he's back to 7 seconds ahead of Perez and has a little bit of battery where he didn't have it before, so that was good. That was a good move. 6/10. Let's go balanced. The DRS will close us up the rest. Leclerc's ahead of him. Leclerc pit earlier, so he is gaining 129.3 on somebody who's already a couple laps in, but not much of a difference, is it? But we are getting slower. 134, and we go into the race lead with the help of the DRS, and that's a 134. That's exactly what we're running. That's exactly what we are running. We are running the same lap times, so we're actually not missing out right now. And there you go, 4 cars into the pits. Perez, Gasly, Vettel, and Schumacher. Doohan is far enough back we could double stack with him, but he's at 42%. I might wait 1 additional lap. Just one more lap for Doohan. Porsche comes out in P9. P9, but you can see he is the first car out on track who is on softs. And here's the other group who's following the same strategy, and they're at the back. So at least on that part, it's worked out for us. Pitting that little bit early. And remember, we pit a couple laps early before. We are already closing up on Verstappen. Russell, these guys are already at 80%. The show has to pit soon. Doohan enters the pits. .128.7. That's about a second faster than those in front of us. A little bit quicker for Ocon. We've got Verstappen, but we get blocked off by Zhou twice. It's weaving all over the place there. And we still haven't finished the move on Verstappen because we can't pull forward. Can we get up the inside of Zhou and make it a double overtake? At least on the lap, not at once, but... Okay, switch back. Verstappen gets back ahead of us and kind of backed off on Zhou a little bit. Actually gave us the overtake, and now we get Zhou. Nice, okay.
And a new position.
Nice.
Just gained by Williams.
Like it. We will check on Doohan shortly. Doohan is 3 seconds behind Norris. He was 7 seconds behind Norris earlier before everybody pit. And then they pit much earlier, and yet we are much closer. So that's good. They have not had great pace since coming out on the mediums. Doohan 2.7 back and pulling away from Gasly. Sainz still out there, though. Gap down to 10 seconds. And we very much caught up to Ricciardo. And we go around for P5. And he's got fresher tires, so he'll be able to make some overtakes when he catches up to those guys. But can we get him back up into the points? I don't know. Sainz seems to be trying to hang on, but there's no way. He's at 29%. He's not going to make it on those. Zhou? Did Zhou pit? No, he's just going slow. He's one of the overtakes we made. But here comes Russell. quite in position this time, but with DRS we close him down and then sit behind him. I think we'll make the overtake next time without even trying. We'll be close enough. He's 2.3 behind on Leclerc. We can still catch Leclerc and Ocon. Sainz, his gap is coming down real fast because his tires are so poorly used. Could we win this race? Doohan's up to P12. Still on the back of Norris, actually. He's just ahead of Sainz. Sainz comes all the way out down in P13. We're going to have to run this extra lap, I guess, for Doohan because we're not watching that one. But battery empty. Really? Really? Doohan? He didn't have a lot of battery to begin with, I suppose. 1.4. He's only got a handful of laps. He's got to make up 5/10 still. Porsche, P3, just over a second back. Oh, man. Porsche, 4/10 down. And we'll close the gap a little bit here. Let's conserve just a little bit for him. Get that positive. We're going to need it for the overtakes. Overtaking the second place car is going to be harder than overtaking the lead car because of the DRS situation. 0.1, there you go. Plenty of battery, but we're at 58%. And we seem to have a good run here on Leclerc. Leclerc, that's the one you want in third. That is really the one you want in third. You're going to use up your battery, you're going to use up your fuel, and now you get going up the inside of Leclerc. There you go, here you go, here you go. We're using that battery up. It's empty.
DRS is currently disabled.
And then without the battery. Oh, wow. What a terrible turn of events.
Oh, they've run wide.
Where did all those cars go? Doing 2.5 seconds back? Really? Man. You sucking. Doing. One mistake today. Just one. But that spin has completely compromised his race, left him out of the points, and Porsche, coming up on 1 lap to go, finally gets back to a very, very barely just sort of kind of neutral. Go Ocon, go Ocon, come on. Ocon's not going to get to the inside. We're going to close this down, but there's nothing we can do. Yes, okay. Hey, this is going to make a big difference. This is going to make a big difference. Let's go. Let's go. We've got Ocon. We have got Ocon.
Good job.
We've got Ocon. Okay.
Increase, please.
Well, I was saying that we're still going to be down. We're still going to be down, but this is massive. Full deploy. Push. Come on, you can get up the inside. Well, get up the outside and then the inside for the chicane. Come on.
So what DRS?
No. We got Norris. Or somebody had a problem with backwards, pit late or something. But Leclerc takes the win. So it's 10 points for Ferrari, but Perez is down in P15. We get 8 with Porsche, and we pull away a bit from Red Bull with Verstappen the only one in the points. He's only going to grab 3 points today where we grab 8. So we add 5 points to the gap over Red Bull. But we do slip from first to second. As we were 1 point ahead of Ferrari, we will now be 1 point behind Ferrari. Another important thing, though, as we go into these final races, well, 2 important things. 1, Porsche started in P20 today and got all the way back up to P2. No mistakes. Huge race result for him. That was massive. 2, he's got brand new components to get through the rest of the season. And 3, we pull away from Red Bull, cementing second place, and with just a handful of races to go, he won't have to take any more penalties. He's going to start much higher up. I like our chances. And Ferrari have largely been off the pace here. Leclerc had it today, barely. Their strategy was good. We had strategy issues, remember? Remember that pit stop where we were 14th and came out in what,
We'll be
17th,
crossing the
18th?
pond all the way to Texas for the
That
twists
progress
and turns of the
was
United
largely
States Grand Prix.
negated, and yet we still managed to come in P2. That was almost the perfect race. We were so much faster, so much better, but we burnt through those tires to catch up to those guys and didn't have anything left. We didn't have the battery, we didn't have the fuel, we didn't have the tires left to make the last little push. And if those two were separated, we could have picked them off one at a time and caught the other one and picked them off. But with those two back to back, getting ahead from third to second was much more difficult than the DRS to get the last little push. But we made the last little push to get from third to second, which is good, but it wasn't enough to get the win. Still, Porsche in the Drivers' Championship lead, 5 points ahead of Verstappen now. Leclerc closing that gap, but at 13 behind with only a few races to go, 4 races to go. That's hard for him to catch. It's not over. 3-horse race, but man, wow. Exciting stuff, huh? Exciting stuff. Doing back in the business of making mistakes again, though, and costing us as a constructor points. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. And constructors, there it is. 1 point back. Bye for now.